Welcome back to another edition of the Saturday to Sunday Football Podcast. I am Paul Perdichizzi, and thank you for joining me as always. Day 3 of the NFL Combine in the books, the day for the dynasty players, the day for the offensive skill players, and today did not disappoint with some exciting running backs, wide receivers, and a couple intriguing quarterback prospects that hit the field in Indianapolis. If you have missed the previous two instant reaction pods, make sure you go back and listen to them. The first one talking about that amazing linebacker group, edge group, and the defensive tackles. Yesterday's episode talking about that elite safety class, strong cornerback class, and then also the tight ends that got the offensive side of the ball started last night. And now today, the rest of the offensive skill players completed their workouts down in Indianapolis. A lot to break it down. So we're going to jump right into it. Start with the running back position. They did hit the field first in Indianapolis today. Collectively, we know this is a very weak running back class. There was only about 21 people, running backs, even invited to the combine. I think that kind of speaks volumes on it being a down running back class. But let's start with the biggest winner from the running back room. And we'll talk about Jeremiah Love, but we knew he was going to be great, and he lived up to the billing. The name that is going to be generating the most buzz after combine is Mike Washington out of Arkansas. He entered this week for me in my top 5 running backs. I thought he had a chance to go late round 3 to early round 4. Well, now he's not only in that mix. Now I think he's RB3 with a chance to push to be RB2 in this class. I think he's a top 100 lock. He checked in at 6'1", 223 pounds. He started his day with a 39-inch vertical and a 10.8 broad jump. And then he proceeded at that weight and that height to run a 4.33 40 time, a 1.51 10-yard split. These are elite level athletic testing. And this is a player that's film is good too. And he shows the ability to also catch the football. So this is a guy who has 3-down skill set, great size, great frame, explosion, and big-time speed. It's going to be hard to see him not going somewhere in the top 100. And I think the question becomes is, will a team look at Mike Washington and think he's a better pick than Jadarian Price? Because now I don't think it's a question on who RB3 in this class is. I think today there was some uncertainty before today. I don't see how there is any uncertainty moving forward now. Because it wasn't like Mike Washington had bad film. He had a strong Senior Bowl. He's got good film, strong Senior Bowl, an elite level combine, down running back class. To me, he's locked in as RB3 with a chance to be RB2, top 100 pick. It was a big day for Mike Washington. And he only did the jumps and the 40. He didn't do the on-field drills. He didn't do the free cone or the shuttle or anything like that. But it was a big time day for my 1 in this class and potentially RB2, the Notre Dame duo. Jeremiah Love lived up to the hype, 6 feet, 212. He ran a 4.36 40, 42.5 vertical, 10.11 broad. So if there were any questions about how elite of an athlete Jeremiah Love was, he put them to rest. He looked really good in the drills. This is a guy who could be a 75 to 85 catch running back, potentially his rookie year, if they want to use him in that capacity. I think Sir Saquon, his first year as a rookie for the Giants, go over 2,000 yards. I think he had like 70 or 75 catches. Jeremiah Love could have that kind of year. So I think he just was checking boxes, whether it's Tennessee at 4, Arizona at 3, the Giants at 5, the Commanders at 7, the Saints at 8, the Chiefs at 9. Jeremiah Love's not getting out of the first 9 picks in this draft. I think that is safe to say at this point. Many people consider him the best pure player in this draft class. Jadarian Price, I think, was expected. I don't think anything that I saw today from Jadarian Price was unexpected. 5'10", 203, 4.49 40, 35 vert, 10-4 broad. And then you combine that with Jadarian Price's best attributes is his vision and his patience. Varies run tempo well, natural run instincts. He's got return capabilities. The unknown is the receiving aspect of it. And we're still unknown on that. But I thought Jadarian Price did what he had to do today. A couple under the radar guys, day 3 guys who I think really helped themselves out. And I think you're going to start hearing a lot more buzz about them. Damon Claiborne out of Wake Forest. This was a guy I really liked before the season started. He was in my top 5 running backs in the summer. A little bit of an up and down year, but I think you're going to start seeing him a lot more in people's top 10s if he wasn't there. He's a smaller guy, 5'9", 188. He ran a 4.37 40, 10-2 on the broad, looked really good in the on-field drills as well. Quick, shifty, pass catching ability. He's going to be a guy who's added to a backfield and maybe be a guy you can find your way to 8 to 12 touches a game, but really make an impact for a team. He's going to go somewhere round 4, round 5, I think now, because he's an interesting big play waiting to happen with receiving capabilities. I think it's going to be stocked squarely up on this draft class. Claiborne's going to make some noise and move up people's rankings. I thought Jam Miller had a great day out of Alabama. 5'10", 209, ran a 4.42 40. The vertical and the broad were just average, but he looked really good in the on-field drills. He showed receiving capabilities. He showed quickness. He showed agility. I thought it was a good day for Jam Miller. So if Mike Washington and Damon Claiborne were the biggest 2 winners from what we saw today, I'd put Jam Miller 3rd on that list. I looked at Seth McGowan out of Kentucky. He was a Senior Bowl guy. He's 223 pounds, 6 feet tall. So he's got similar measurements to Mike Washington. McGowan ran a 4.49 40. He had a 42.5 vertical jump and a 10-11 broad jump. That's going to get noticed. So I think Seth McGowan is now going to find himself much more in the early day remix. But those are some big-time explosive numbers for a guy who was a productive player and showed a lot. So I think Seth McGowan really helped himself. Because you look at a guy like Seth McGowan and you start comparing him to a guy like Jonah Coleman or Katron Allen. Katron Allen didn't do any of the athletic testing. Jonah Coleman didn't do anything. But Seth McGowan is 7 pounds heavier than Katron Allen. He's 3 pounds heavier than Jonah Coleman. But he's got way more athleticism than I think any of those 2 guys have. So when he gets to the early portion of day 3, is the team going to take Katron Allen or Jonah Coleman ahead of Seth McGowan? I'm not sure. And if Jonah Coleman goes out at his pro day or Katron Allen goes his pro day and they run like 4.58 to 4.6 and Seth McGowan's there with a 4.49 and then those explosives, I'm not sure there's going to be much separation between those guys. So I thought Seth McGowan added to the list of Jam Miller, Damon Claiborne, and Mike Washington as some of the biggest winners from today. And then one other name I thought was a big winner today was Adam Randall from the running back position. Former wide receiver, converted to running back. He's 6'3", 232. Well, that's a really big measurements. And he went out and ran a 4.5 flat with a 37 vert and a 10.4 broad jump. So I think Adam Randall has now put himself in the mix as an early day 3 guy. And I think teams are going to be more intrigued. Same way I just talked about. Yeah, Katron Allen and Jonah Coleman have a bigger name value. I think the NFL teams are going to be more intrigued with Seth McGowan potentially and Adam Randall. More explosiveness. Same size, if not bigger. Better pass catching ability. So I think those guys, Randall, McGowan, really helped themselves out a lot as bigger backs that showed good athleticism, more pass catching ability. Claiborne and Jam Miller, big-time winners, but nobody a bigger winner than Mike Washington from the running back position. If we spin this over to the wide receivers, a lot to talk about the wide receivers, as there always is. nobody from the wide receiver position helped themselves out more than Jeff Caldwell out of Cincinnati. 6'5", 216, massive wingspan. He ran a 4.31 with a 42-inch vertical and an 11.2 broad. And if you weren't listening carefully, he's 6'5". Those numbers, his ability to play over the rim, the catch radius, the length, the ability to high point it. This was a day 3 guy, but it is hard to see him now not either sneaking into the end of the top 100, if not the early portion of day 3 in round 4. This is not a round 6 or 7 guy anymore. Not with this type of athletic testing at this size. This size, this speed, I don't see how he lasts longer than the first 4 rounds. And I think you'll start hearing buzz about him, even maybe in the latter part of the top 100 with those testing numbers at his size, at his frame. So it was a big, big day for Jeff Caldwell. One of my guys. He's going to be on my guys episode when I do it. If you've been a long-time S2S listener, you know I have talked about him a lot for years. But Deion Burks is going to start getting way more national attention if he wasn't. I know Dan Jeremiah had him in his initial top 50, but he still wasn't generating a lot of buzz. He was supposed to go to Senior Bowl, then he wasn't. Checked in at 5'9", 180. He had a 4.3 flat 40-yard dash, a 42.5 vert, a 10-11 broad jump. An unbelievable day for the vertical slot player. Really good route runner. I thought he was going to test that as a really good athlete. I didn't think he was going to test that as an elite level athlete. Because I had been saying for the whole year, if Wan'Dale Robinson can go in the top 50, and Deion Burks offers everything Wan'Dale Robinson offers, but he's faster, he's quicker, he's a little bigger, he shows more downfield ability, Deion Burks should be going in the top 50 too. Well, now he's going in the top 50. With these measurements, plus his film, he's going to be a weapon at the next level. On the coverage today, they compared him to Deion Branch. I see some Tyler Lockett in there, vertical slot guy, good route runner. Deion Burks really helped himself out today. Malik Benson out of Oregon, generating a lot of buzz over the last couple of days. Darren Jeremiah was the first one to say he thinks he could be a late round 3 type player. Whether it's late round 3, early round 4, he's put himself in situation now. 6 feet, 189. He had a 4.37 40. 10-2 broad. Looked really good in the gauntlet drill. Good day for Malik Benson. Skylar Bell out of UConn. He didn't go to the Senior Bowl. He went to the Shrine Bowl. Checked in at 5'11", 192. Had a 4.4 flat 40, 41-inch vert, and 11.1 broad jump. Skylar Bell is going to be another one of those guys. Late round 3, early round 4. He's going to come off the board. Good film. Elite testing numbers now as well. Jeremy Bernard, I thought it was a check the box kind of day for Jeremy Bernard. He got his 40 down to 4.48 after his first one was 4.52. 32.5 on the vert. That type of explosion is not his game. He doesn't play above the rim, but he had a 10.5 broad jump. Looked really good in the gauntlet drill. Smooth in the on-field drills. I do wonder if some guys are going to leapfrog him a little bit in day 2, who just have a little bit more upside and pizzazz to it. But Bernard did what he had to do to check off boxes. Zachariah Branch came in 5'8", 177, but he did what he needed to do. 4.35 40, 38 vert, 10.5 broad. Game-breaking type playmaker anytime the ball's in his hands. Manufactured touches, jet sweeps, end arounds, quick screens, slants, return game. And I think there's a vertical element that's going to be unleashed at the next level. To me, he could be a vertical slot. I don't care that most of his touches were at or below the line of scrimmage. I think that's how they used him in Georgia, and that's a big part of his game. But I think he's got the ability to win vertically down the field, and we're going to see it at the next level. Chris Brazel checked off the boxes he needed to. 4.3, 740. He's 6'4", 198 pounds. So big outside X wide receiver with big time speed. Brazel's going late round 1 to the early portion of round 2. Barian Brown has continued a strong all-star pre-draft process. He had a good Senior Bowl. Former big-time recruit at Kentucky. Transferred to LSU this year. 4.4 speed. Coming off that good Senior Bowl week. Barian Brown has helped himself a lot in this pre-draft process. Casey Concepcion did not run the 40 or do the jumps. I think we'll see that at his pro day. But he looked really good in the drills. Like really smooth. Gauntlet drill was good. The other drills were good. He looked really smooth all the way around the board. Omar Cooper been getting a lot of round 1 buzz. Like Dan Jeremiah had him as his 18th player in his recent top 50. 6 feet, 199, checking the boxes in terms of size and frame. 4.4, 240, 37 vert. I see some Stephon Diggs. I see some Rashee Rice. I see some Jarvis Landry, but more athletic. A lot of different things you can do with Omar Cooper. He's got inside-outside versatility. He's tough and physical. That's the Jarvis Landry type aspect of him. But the way the Chiefs use Rashee Rice, the team could use Omar Cooper. A lot to like about Omar Cooper's game. Caleb Douglas out of Texas Tech ran a 4.3, 940, blazing. Chris Hilton ran a 4.41. Ted Hurst, there was some confusion of whether or not he was going to be at the Senior Bowl. He originally was on the first list. Then he was taken off of it. He was there and didn't disappoint. Almost 6'4", 206, 4.4, 240, 36.5, 11 on the broad jump. Coming off of the strong Senior Bowl week, he's going top 100. He's going off the board day 2. I will say a couple of the bigger guys, though, slightly disappointed. Denzel Boston did not run the 40, did not do the broad, did do the vertical at 35. So 35 is not a big-time number. It's an average number at best for a wide receiver. He did not look comfortable in the gauntlet drill. And that is unlike him in terms of the hands. So again, we're going to see the full picture, and the film is really good. But Denzel Boston was not a good day for Denzel Boston. But I will say the wide receiver that I think Malachi Fields is going to have some questions arise now. I understand speed is not his calling card. But a 4.61 makes it really tough to take him in the late portion of round 1 where we started seeing him back to. I never thought he was a round 1 guy. To me, he's always been more of a day 2 guy. The length is great. He had 38-inch vert. So it wasn't like he is incapable of that. 38-inch vert, 10.4 on the broad jump. But 4.61 opens the questions of like how he's going to play at the next level. I think he needs to get that down at his pro day to like 4.52 or 4.54, we'll say. He's got to shave that down from the 4.61 number to like 4.54, 4.53. I still think he's more of an early day 2 guy than a round 1 guy. Carnell Tate, interested that, he chose to do everything here. He came in at 6'2", 192. Didn't do the jumps. And his 40 time was a 4.53, which is not a bad number. 4.53, but he isn't a 215 wide receiver. He's a 192 receiver. He's 6'2", 192. My thing with Carnell Tate is, and he's a very good prospect. Very good prospect. If Jordan Tyson was completely clean medical-wise, I think Tyson would be the wide receiver 1 for more people, but here or there, whether Carnell Tate is your number 1 or Jordan Tyson is your number 1 and Carnell Tate is your number 2, he's a very good prospect. So when I say this, it does not mean that I do not think he's a very good prospect. But I have never watched Carnell Tate and thought the same thing about Carnell Tate that I thought about Malik Neighbors. Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out. Rome Odunze even coming out. Jalen Waddle. Devonta Smith. Any of those guys. So I think Carnell Tate is probably still going to go top 10, whether it's the Commanders at 7, the Saints at, 8, somebody. I just don't think he's a top 5 guy. If the Titans were to take him at 4, the Giants were to take him at 5, they're taking him ahead of a guy like Malik Neighbors. Same spot as like where Marvin Harrison was taken, who was considered an elite level prospect coming out. So I like Carnell Tate's game a lot. But I just don't know top 5. He's only 190, 192 pounds, a 4.53. And I understand speed is not his trait that helps him be a great player. He's a good route runner. He's got great hands, great body control, great ball skills. But to me, when you're evaluating these elite wide receivers, to me, he looks more at a guy who should go in the 10 to 15 range than the 4 or 5 range. I think he still probably ends up going, but I think he probably goes closer to 7 to 9 than he does 4 or 5. That's just what I think. I think with guys like Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese and David Bailey and Caleb Downs and the O-line guys, I think those guys are going to probably go ahead of him for some teams. So I think he'll fall a little bit. J. Michael Sturdivant, guy that I've been liking for years. I love the athletic testing he put out there. Sturdivant's a bigger guy, almost 6'3", 207 pounds. He ran a 4.440, 39 on the vertical, 10-11 on the broad jump. Really strong performance from J. Michael Sturdivant. He's going to generate a lot of early date rebuzz. Eric Rivers out of Georgia Tech. Small guy, 5'10", 176. He had a 4.3540, 37 vert, 10-7 on the broad. Was the best wide receiver down at the Shrine Bowl. Carried that momentum here now. Makai Lemon did not do the jumps or the 40s. Did look really smooth in the on-field drills. He did have one bad drop. I think it was in the gauntlet. But we know who Makai Lemon is. Whether you think Zay Flowers type player, something like that, but with a little bit less speed, but a little bit more nuance to his route running. Excited to see Lemon at his pro day and get some official measurements on that. Xavier Thomas out of LSU. A 4.28 40, 36-inch vert. He's a guy I got to go back and watch some film on. I had not done a lot of research on Xavier Thomas. I knew he was going to test that as a really good athlete. I'm not sure on his film. I saw 4.28. Who I did expect that put up that big number was Brennan Thompson, and he did not disappoint at a Mississippi State. 4.26. Really, really strong performance from Brennan Thompson, locking himself in that late round 2, I think, to early to mid round 3. One of the bigger guys who I thought really helped themselves today was Jacoby Lane out of USC. I know myself included had some questions about the speed, about the separation ability. Jacoby Lane answered a lot of those questions. Came in at 6'4", 200. He ran a 4.47 40, and then had a 40-inch vert and a 10.9 broad. Those are good numbers for Jacoby Lane. Don't think he gets that around 3 anymore. Arguably one of the other bigger winners from the wide receiver position, Trey Lance's younger brother, Bryce Lance at North Dakota State. 6'3", 204. He ran an official 4.3440, 41.5 on the vert, 11.1 on the broad. He was already in Dame Ruler's top 100. This is a guy who's going on day 2 now. There's no way that size, those athletic testing, good film, good ball skills, he's going in the top 100. That's for sure now, after the performance he put out there today in terms of that athletic testing. Though Reggie Virgil disappointed a little bit. You start to see him kind of in people's top 100s. I thought he was more of an early day 3 guy. 6'3", 187. I didn't expect him to be a blazing fast guy, but a 4.57 is not going to help his cause. So I think that probably takes him out of the running for top 100. I think we're probably more talking around 4 now. And one other guy who helped themselves out a lot today was Antonio Williams out of Clemson. 4.4, 140, 39.5, 10.4 in the broad jump. So I thought Antonio Williams helped himself out tremendously. It's a deep wide receiver class. It only got even deeper from what we saw today. Guys like Jeff Caldwell entering the mix, potentially in the top 100, stuff like that. Other guys checking off boxes. Jacoby Lane performing as well as he did, maybe locking in a third round. Skylar Bell looking as good as he did. Malik Benson looking as good as he did. We might have 17 to 19 wide receivers going to the top 100. I do not think that is out of the realm of possibility. Probably only going to have 3 running backs. We might only have 2 tight ends, maybe 3. We might only have 3 tight ends. We might only have 3 running backs. So 6 guys there, but we might have like 18 wide receivers. And then maybe only 2 quarterbacks. A lot of wide receivers are going to go. And I think they lived up to the hype today. And then last but not least, let's turn to the quarterback position. Not really a lot to discuss here, but a couple of guys that stood out. Let's first start talk with the absolute freak show in terms of athletic testing that Taylor Green out of Arkansas put on today. We talked about the Senior Bowl. He was an intriguing prospect. 6'5", 227. He had a 43.5 vertical, an 11.2 broad, and then he went out there and ran a 4.3640. Like, if you don't really stop and think about what that is, 6'5", 227, 4.3640, 43.5, 11. I mean, basically went out there, and yes, he's about 15 pounds or so lighter, but he basically went out there and put on a Sonny Styles type workout. 45.3 on the vert, 11.2 on the broad, a faster 40 time. So the vertical and the broad were basically Sonny Styles. The 40 time was faster than Sonny Styles. And it's not like this is a 200-pound quarterback. He's 227 pounds. So, yeah, I know Sonny Styles is like whatever he was, 240-something. But this guy went out there and put out a testing performance like Sonny Styles did. And he's a quarterback. Is he raw? Yeah. Does he need development? Yeah. But there's a lot worse you could do as a day 3 quarterback to take a guy this traitsy. And if he fails at quarterback, you could try to see if there's another way he could help a team out. Maybe it's the Matt Jones route or the Logan Thomas route, because he's got intrigue to his game for sure. Cole Payton had a really good day today. Another guy from the Senior Bowl. 6'2", 232, 4.5640, 40 vert, 10-10 broad. So this guy tested out as a big-time athlete too. His passing acumen is definitely more developed already than a guy like Taylor Green. I think Cole Payton's put himself in the mix to be QB3 to QB5. You might even see some people say they like his attributes and his traits better than Ty Simpson. So I think there's a real possibility we see him go in the top 100 to a team. If not, he will hear his name called early in round 4. Too much upside, athleticism, size, frame. He checks off all those boxes. Although Ty Simpson, while he didn't do any of the testing, looked good in the on-field drills to end the combine. But he had a good throwing session. Same thing with Nussmeier. But at the quarterback position, it really was about Cole Payton and Taylor Green. We saw Drew Allar get out there, which was nice to kind of see him get out there. I think he could push to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks taken. I mean, if you rewind a year ago, there was a possibility he could have been a top 10 pick if he would have came out. So there's still intrigue, I'm sure, from some NFL teams. 6'5", 228. We know he's a good athlete as well in terms of a red zone runner, touchdown guy, keep the first down chains moving by picking up yards, tough to tackle, good play strength, toughness. So Drew Allar is an interesting one as well. We'll see if he does any testing at his pro day, or him coming back from injury still prevents that. So there it is, guys. Offensive players in the books. Skill players, I should say. We'll see about the offensive lineman tomorrow. There'll be a small, short, instant reaction podcast just to kind of talk about some of the things that stood out from the offensive linemen. If you missed the first 2 instant reaction pods, get back and look at it. A lot of information been coming in the last couple of days. I'll continue to be live tweeting all day tomorrow, final day to combine. It's also a great day to get on there. Less guys participating tomorrow. Any questions about anything that's already happened in the combine, early dynasty questions, team fit questions, evaluation questions, you can reach out. I'll be very active on Twitter all during the combine again tomorrow. I see a question in the chat. I'm assuming we're talking about Malachi Fields. I thought it was a little bit of a pedestrian type performance from him today. The jumps were good, but he's got to get that 40 time down. I know that's not his calling card, but there are going to be some teams a little concerned about that late round 1 to the early portion of round 2. I still think he's a round 2 wide receiver. I still think he's a really good prospect. But I'm not sure a team's going to make an investment in a wide receiver in round 1 with a 4.6. I think he's got to get that into the low to mid 4.5s. 4.52 to 4.54 is what I think he's got to try to get that number. And even so, I always thought he was more of an early round 2 guy than a round 1 guy. I know that he was generating a lot of buzz by the Senior Bowl. Sometimes we do that when we don't have the whole class in play and we start really harping in on a guy that this guy, I think he's always been more of a day 2 guy. He's a good prospect. Great size, great length. He's probably what you wanted Keon Coleman to be or what people wanted Keon Coleman to be. But he plays up to his size. He's great at contested catches. He's a true outside guy, where Keon Coleman did his best inside the slot when he was in college. And then Buffalo's tried to force feed him to be this outside guy. That's not really how he was utilized in college, how his best attributes were in college. So I think Malachi Fields is still a very good prospect, but for me, he's closer to top 10 of my wide receivers than he is in my top 5. Because there's some other guys that I think offer more versatility and what I would look for. But again, if you already have the versatility, if you already have the separator, the big play guy, the quickness guy, you might need a traditional outside guy like that. Great size, great frame. So I think he's a good prospect. I still think he's a good prospect. Just never thought he was a round 1 guy. Same thing with Carnell Tate. I think he's a very good to great prospect. If he goes towards the back end of the top 10, I think it's fine. I think he's more of like a teens guy, but I just don't think he's a top 5 guy. If I'm taking a wide receiver in the top 5, I want to think that he could be a special player in the NFL. One of the best 5 or 6 wide receivers. Can he get up there and be looked at the same way as a CD Lamb? As what Jackson Smith and the Jigba has turned into. Justin Jefferson. If I'm taking a guy in the top 5, that's the kind of ceiling I hope to have. I've never watched Carnell Tate and thought that was his ceiling. I watched Malik Neighbors, and as soon as you watch Malik Neighbors, you thought he could be a Jamar Chase type player. He could be a Justin Jefferson type player. He could be a CD Lamb type player. That's why he's going top 5. Neighbors went 6. I think Carnell Tate could be a very, very, very good number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. And for some teams, that would be a number 1 wide receiver. And I think if he goes to the Commanders, he will help their offense tremendously. If he goes to the Saints and you pair him with Chris Olave, he'd be a great addition to the Saints offense. And there's many other teams in the early teens that would be the case. If the Titans take him at 4, I think he'll be a very good player for the Titans. If the Giants take him at 5 and he's playing alongside Malik Neighbors, I think he will be a very good player. I'm just not sure I'd pass up a Sonny Styles, an Arvell Reese, a Caleb Downs to take him there over those guys. That's where I'm at with Carnell Tate. Really good prospect. Not sure top 5 worthy, but we're it's a thin margin here. Not top 5, but top 10's okay, right? So it's just I'm not sure I would be comfortable taking him over a couple of those guys I mentioned. But after you get past those guys, I think as early as 7, he still would be very much in play if I was a decision maker. Maybe gets that time down a little bit at his pro day. I think it would help if he could put a number that's 4.49. Ease a little bit of the concerns that he has a little bit more speed to his game than maybe we saw today at the combine. But he wins in so many other ways. Still a great prospect. So there it is, guys. If you're enjoying this content, get over to the website, SS Football, fastest and easiest way to get there. For $9.99, you can check out all of our premium notebooks. You get the scouting notebook and the rankings notebook immediately. So much information in there. You get the draft projections notebook in April as well. It's the best way to help us continue to do what we do here at Saturday to Sunday. So one more day of the combine left. Hopefully you've been following along, listening to the instant reaction pods, following along on Twitter. One of my favorite weekends of the entire NFL calendar for sure. Only one that I enjoy more is NFL draft weekend, as always. So on behalf of my sound tech engineer, David Nakano, and myself, thank you for joining us. And we look forward next time taking you from Saturday to Sunday.